Hi, everyone. This is Irina Baker. I'm a spiritual self-awareness mentor. And today we're here for a treat, at least in my eyes, for sure, because I'm here with my long-term client, Marie Quire. And she has been my client in my Radiant Mastery Academy. And she had just great success right now due to this work that we've been doing together. And I wanted to, we actually, both of us, wanted to do this interview because we want to dissect it, to make every step, to look at how it happened and why it happened. First of all, I want to make a disclaimer. We're going to talk about Marie's business success, but from the spiritual point of view, meaning business success as money, as what she has done, but we are talking, our goal is to prove that not only business, but spiritual work has to be done. And every business person, every businesswoman has to go through spiritual work in order to have greater success. And so my disclaimer is, I do not say that business mentors or business training is not good at all, vice versa. I really, really endorse it. We have to be trained. We have to have business mentors. I go through business training all the time. However, just business training is not enough. Just to have a business mentor is not enough, because there is the very important ingredient that is missing. And that's what we're here to talk about. Do you think I'm right, Marie?
Yes, very much so.
So let's start with the beginning. Before you believe that if I go out there, if I take action. So tell us what you believed before you met me about business. How do you achieve business success?
So before I met you, a lot of my business success was due to like the grind, hustle. It's a numbers game. The more people that you talk to and the more networking that you do, the more results that you'll get, or the more, clients that you can build and the more leads. And it's not to say that none of that is true per se, but it didn't always produce like what I was looking for, or it might have, but I was also exhausted on the back end. So from just trying so hard to achieve.
So when you came to my event, in fact, you came by referral. In fact, your business mentor referred you to me because the business mentor is my client, and she knows perfectly well that we combine both for success that we want to achieve. We need to have both spiritual and business training together. And so when you came and you obviously you believed or you trusted, right, to me, that I was inviting you on a spiritual journey, and you decided, okay, I'm going to do it. And then what?
Well, she invited me by an invitation and I came to the event. I thought, what do I have to lose? I loved what you taught and what I heard. And then I decided to sign up for your spiritual coaching in order to develop my business. So.
And you're a realtor. And so tell us more about that.
So basically, I just took some time to focus on the spiritual work, and it kept me very busy, but eventually I got to a place where I decided to get back into building the business, and I did. And it took me a few months until I got another client. So that gave me this success.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about this, what happened and how it happened. So first of all, it took you, like you said, it didn't happen overnight. I never promised anything overnight, right? It took several months to do the spiritual work that you needed to release. And it was intense. And it was sometimes the darkest tunnel, right, that you didn't even know how to get out. But you did, because you were here with us, and you did. You were guided through it, and you did your brave work. And so so here is the difference. You mentioned at the beginning that you hustled, you were tired, it was a grind, you were constantly in that mode of do, go out and do things. So this, when you apply spiritual work and when you apply spiritual principles to life, I call it spiritual mastery. So I would say Marie got her first glimpse of first layer, so to speak, of spiritual mastery. Would you say that? I think that's the story of the spiritual mastery, how you're looking at it. You already started feeling the results of it. Would you agree?
Yep. Yeah, of course.
And the spiritual mastery means we apply spiritual principles, spiritual knowledge, and we clear ourselves from beliefs that give us resistance. And everything happens easily without the hustle. We call it green light flow, meaning green light, meaning it's like a corridor. It's you going without stop and you are guided by the divine. Would you agree that that's what happened?
Yes. And that's not to say that I didn't do the work. I still did the work I needed
Right.
to. It just wasn't forced, or it just felt lighter, so to speak.
It felt lighter and happier because when everything is lighter, when everything is coming together in alignment, it's not you don't feel discouraged or you don't feel down. You feel actually uplifted and inspired, right? Because you feel that you're moving in a corridor of success or corridor that moves you somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so let's start with the first step. How suddenly you got the client out of the blue. Ha ha. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I had an event, and there was actually supposed to be some other people there with me, and
it was an open house, right?
Right, it was an open house. There's supposed to be another agent with me, and they didn't end up staying the whole time. And so when they left is when a few people came, and the last people were these clients that I met. I basically talked to them for a while, and they ended up deciding that they wanted to give me all of their contact information and what they were looking for in a home. So yeah. And
so what's unusual about it? What was easy? How was it easy?
Well, what's unusual is when not many people show up to an open house, or a few people come at the end, the likelihood that you get a client isn't very high. And we always have said, like, even if you can take one lead away from an open house, that's a successful open house. So for me, it was, but this client wasn't just thinking about purchasing a home, or I mean, they were serious, and they had been looking for quite some time. And they met me, and apparently, liked me and wanted to work with me. So
did you feel
that
a
was
connection? Did you feel a connection? Was it easy?
Yes, for me, I felt it. And I think they did too, which is why they so easily offered their information to want to work with me. And again, not to say that that doesn't happen. It's just that like for me on this part of my journey is how it happened. And it was easy, and the flow was there, and it just continued through the whole process quickly.
Were you shocked?
I wouldn't say I was shocked, but I was I was delighted. I was glad and happy about it.
Okay, so let's look at the little details. So first of all, you said open house, if you just get one lead, and lead is not the client, lead is who knows, maybe or may not be a client. So here in that one open house, the other agent left, so you were by yourself to receive these clients, and they connected with you after, well, I would say short conversation, because obviously you didn't stay there a long time and they didn't interrogate you on all, all the life like police would do. And so it was it was a short conversation. you immediately connected because well, if you connected, obviously they connected too. Otherwise, as you said, they could leave and forget about it. And they've been looking already for some time. And there are a lot of, sorry to say, a lot of agents around, a lot of realtors. I'm sure they are not just, they know other realtors, but they decided to give their business to you. And it was easy. You didn't hustle about it. You did the work. You showed up. You showed up. You were doing your work, but you didn't hustle in this case. It wasn't, you didn't make cold calls. You didn't knock on doors. You didn't do any of it. Sometimes we say, we have an expression, clients or customers come out of the woods, right? So basically they came out of the woods by themselves. Right. And they offered information. You didn't need to tell them, and you didn't need to beg. You didn't need to ask for it. You didn't need to be afraid to ask for it, right? Sometimes people I hear hesitate to be salesy, so they don't want to give it. And so in this case, they showed up, they talked to you, they connected, and they give the information. How amazing is that? We call it green light flow, or green light for people who don't understand green light flow, but I think it's easy. So, yeah. And then what happened? So first of all, these clients were your business mentor, one of your business mentors calls it sometimes a unicorn. I was laughing because when I first time heard the term, first of all, unicorns are so nice and amazing, right? So do you know this term, unicorn?
Yep. And I would agree. Yeah, they were unicorn clients.
So explain unicorn for everybody.
Just special, like it's someone, or you know, it's unique. It doesn't happen often. They're very special, like easy to work with, not difficult or combative or anything like that. So
exactly. So not only we got easy flow that they came to you, but they also were unicorn type because they were a very good client. That's a dream come true, right? That's a dream come true transaction. And would you say, will you agree? Well, you do agree because that's the whole thing about Radiant Mastery Academy. We teach that we get guidance from the divine, and divine guides us, and divine provides for us. So would you agree that divine guidance was there, present?
Yep, absolutely.
And the divine provided that client.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just how everything worked out, like the agent left, I wasn't expecting them to leave. The timing of everything. Yeah.
There is a period between initial meeting the client, going through specific steps in realty, right? You have to take specific steps. You have to get into, agree to the house, agree to offers and so forth. And it takes time. So first of all, how was the whole transaction?
So from the time I met the client to the end, it was, again, very much green light flow. There was a couple times where I myself thought that we weren't going to move forward, or, you know, that maybe something would take longer than it would have, but it didn't. And, there was a few times throughout the process that came up. So, yeah, everything was just smooth. We went on showings. We looked at the properties that they liked. There was a couple times that they thought they might want to make an offer, but they didn't. And then we found the perfect home at the end of another showing that we had gone on. And then they made an offer on that home, and it ended up being the home that they closed on.
So it didn't take them that long.
No, it was probably from when I met them to closing was probably 2 months, maybe 2.5. So, which is very short in realtor time.
Exactly. Sometimes it takes years, sometimes whole year people cannot find the house, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I know those times too. I know. And 2.5 months. So that means, again, it was divinely guided. Did you feel like you were in a corridor of some sort? I usually describe it this way. It's like so tangible. You're moving in the right direction and you feel it. It feels right. It feels easy. It feels just so good. Did you feel that?
Yes, but I also felt the fear, so I had to work through that
We're
spiritually.
getting there. We're getting there. So
So yeah.
you felt this because that's the green light flow as I usually describe, right? But here we go. Why we right now discuss this, because why we're having this interview, because you're not just out of the blue just did this and it happened. Did it ever happen to you before in this way? No
No.
hustle, amazing client, unicorn showed up at the door. Would you, if you're a realtor, would you want to see a unicorn personified? One time I went to a styling salon. A girl comes out as my stylist, and that was the first time I saw her. And she had different color hair, very pretty, different colors, and they were pink and light blue. So I told, and I couldn't hold myself. I had to say it. I said, "Oh, you look like a unicorn." She said, "Yes, that's the look I was going for." So I said, I saw a unicorn personified in my life. So the same,
Mm-hmm.
that same happened to you. You saw a unicorn personified, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there is another side. So if it never happened before, so something had to be met, some conditions had to be met for it to happen to you. Something had to be open, or something had to open up. So what was it? You had to do the inner work, right? Because before, without this inner spiritual work, it didn't happen like that.
No.
Yeah. So you had fears, you had what else? How? So describe it to us. How was it?
Well, like I was saying, it was kind of like I was in that corridor and the green light flow, and I could feel that. But then, like, the other side was that I was afraid that something was going to happen or that something would come up, and then
Yeah.
maybe they would back out. And that does happen too. But everything was so in the flow that it was almost like it's shocking. It's literally shocking. And other realtors were telling me like, wow, that never happens. Wow. The agent on the other side at the end said that everyone was happy on both sides, and it's so rare to see that, and it was so refreshing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't
Because
just me that saw.
because the divine always works for the highest good of all involved. When we make a prayer to the divine, we say for the highest good of everybody involved. And that's what exactly happened. Everybody was happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the process. And during this process, we were doing spiritual work. And we were doing the deep spiritual work, as we call it here, the deepest spiritual work in the most practical way. Because when you do it spiritually, not just because, but also for business results, well, that's what you were going through. Because would you agree that if you didn't do that spiritual work during this process, something could sabotage your success?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because why? Because you yourself would not be able to receive it, right? Because
Mhm.
your fear came up, and the fear is an indicator that inside something is sabotaging, something does not believe that you can accept it. It's too good to be true. And so everybody, when the deal doesn't come through, a lot of times it's the people, or it's the human on either side or both sides, they cannot receive it. God is giving, divine provided you with the unicorn, with the transaction, with everything, but it was up to you to receive it. And without the spiritual work, you would not be able to receive it, because the confirmation is before you didn't receive it. It didn't happen. It never happened. This is your first success like this big.
Yep.
Any comment on that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say if something had come up and say like it fell through or wasn't meant to be, so to speak.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree that I wouldn't be ready to receive it. And so that's really important to know and acknowledge for this. So because it was very different than anything else before. So
Right. And you mentioned that you actually yourself mentioned that you've done more spiritual work than physical actions. Can you comment on that, elaborate a little bit?
mhm. Yeah, so because of the flow, there was not a lot that I had to do business wise as far as the hustle or the grind, so to speak. I did the work that was needed, but I feel like in terms of quantifying hours, I spent way more time spiritually doing my work on the inner portion than I did outwardly with like business or in the world or anything else. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
huge.
and that's what I teach in our Radiant Mastery Academy. That's in regular people who don't believe in spiritual work or don't believe that they believe only in physical actions, they spend all their time on physical actions, maybe a little bit, maybe some percentage, like 98% or 97% for physical actions, and maybe 3% on mindset. Right? You can do it. I'm inspired, looking, maybe reading something, maybe saying to yourself something, right? But in the spiritual, when we apply spiritual mastery, we do the spiritual work to match our vibrational frequency. And then that's 97% of work. And then we do 3% that we have to show up, we have to do it, we have to, take care of the business side of it. But it's entirely, like you said, spiritual is considerably more efforts and more time than the spiritual. So you do it inside, and then the outside, we call it the matrix, shifts so much that it provides with easy results. Did I
Yep.
describe it right?
Yeah, perfectly.
Right. So that's, I call it the enlightened business, because would you agree, Marie, that what would you choose? Okay, what would you choose? Your business prior to this work, or now how you've experienced? Ha.
Definitely now.
No
Yeah,
brainer, right?
no
No
brainer.
brainer. Yeah. And so that's how I call it enlightened business, or you enlightened entrepreneur, because you now experience the glimpse of that huge success. And we won't maybe say it, but it's a huge amount of money, that because the house was not cheap at all, right? The house, any comments on that? You can say it if
They
you want.
so basically I did 2 to 3 times or how should I say that? I did in one deal I did what most agents do in 2 or 3.
Yeah, she was humble
Including
about it
myself.
and never didn't want to say it, I guess. Good I asked, right? So yes, 2 to 3 times more than you ever did, and many other agents have done. So that's another confirmation how spiritual work brings the best success. And you didn't need to work for it. There is a difference. We already said it. I'll just repeat. You did need to work for it, but you didn't need to climb Himalayas and overcome obstacles and hustle and be overachieving over everything and be exhausted about it.
Yep.
And the clients did not violate your boundaries. Like in real estate, it's a common problem. People will call you in the middle of the night, it seems like, right? And they will say, okay, I want showing now. I've heard things like that, horror things like that. So people don't even respect your time. They think that anytime they can call you because you are on the begging call. And it didn't happen with you, right?
No, it was very mutually respectful. which is also, I mean, it is common, but at the same time, I do, you know, or have had clients before who call very early in the morning or text now. But yeah, and I've also seen that difference too, where I like to be helpful and giving, and some people will take advantage of that, but this wasn't like that at all. It was very respectful on both sides, and flexible, if you will. So that was very, very good to see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So definitely you will be striving for business like that. Would you say no going back into
No
that
going
old
back.
old ways of
Yeah.
traditional male testosterone driven business, right?
No,
Yeah.
no. And I will say too, just to be transparent, I've had some fears come up after closing that, you know, what will the next one, I want the next one to be just like this or better. And I think, well, what if it's not? Well, what if this? And so I just have to, you know, continue doing my work and trust the process and trust the divine and myself. So yeah.
Yeah. So are you sold on the spiritual work that it
Yes.
has to be done? If you're a woman entrepreneur, do you have to do the spiritual work?
I would recommend for anyone, just because I feel like uh you know, I've seen other realtors or business women have great success, but you know, I don't know, I guess it just applies to whatever situation you're in at the moment, whatever your journey is. So yeah, I would highly recommend.
Mm-hmm. Well, perfect. Thank you so much. And it was great. We've dissected the interview, we've dissected the story, and we came to the conclusion that only the enlightened business and only it's great to be an enlightened entrepreneur, applying your spiritual mastery, applying your spiritual work, and achieving that spiritual mastery in order to achieve traditional business or outside world business success. Right?
Yep. Yes. Thank
Perfect.
you.
You're welcome. And thank you. And I would like to say in conclusion that our mantra here at Trading Mastery Academy is, if you follow the divine, money will follow you. If you serve the divine, money will serve you. And it was proven for Marie right there in her business success. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Bye.